Hi everybody, welcome to 54 Nights RV.
Hello.
Hey. Today we're going to talk about when we actually decided to go purchase an RV, a motorhome. The things leading up to it. You know, we paid off the house and then we went to work paying off Bill. He never really leaves. He just hangs around. And while we were paying off Bill, we did a lot of research. You know, I think we brought it up before. We do a ton of research on most things we purchase. You know, we did a lot of online research, YouTube videos, looking at manufacturers' websites. On a couple of RV forums, just paying attention to what people had to say about them, you know, about their certain brands and what have you. And of course, RV shows. I lost count of how many RV shows we went to. I think I've mentioned before, Oklahoma City isn't exactly a big stomping ground for motorhomes. You get a lot of trailers and fifth wheels, pop-ups, hybrids, those things. But motorhomes aren't very populous out there at the dealerships. But there are a couple of them, and we went to them, and you know, wasted some salesman's time looking at different models that we were researching. But after it was all said and done and all the ducks got lined up in a row, we went out. I believe it was a Friday after work. I usually leave work around 11 o'clock or noon on Fridays. And something bothering you?
No, I just got the TV back there, so I was wondering if I could reach the remote and turn that off so it won't bother you.
Here's what I can do.
Okay.
Got no TV back there.
No TV. It's gone.
Oof. But I had been keeping an eye out on what was at the dealerships in the area. And when we headed out that Friday afternoon, we had two motorhomes in mind. And neither one of them was the one that we originally thought we were going to end up with. It was a Baystar Sport, a Newmar. I don't recall the model number, but it was one we had seen at a couple of RV shows, and we actually liked it. The layout wasn't the perfect layout with the L-shaped sofa, which we feel like is the perfect layout. If you don't, well then you probably need to see somebody about that. But the thing with it was quite a bit less expensive than the Baystar or the Bounder that we were looking at. Which means more trips. If we've got less of a payment, we can go more places.
Enjoy it more. And
we don't want a yard ornament. The other one was one that had just...
expensive yard ornament.
Yeah, it is. The other one was one that had popped up just that week. It was Fleetwood Southwind, and it was a leftover 16 model, and the price had been knocked down to the point where it was a little less than what they were asking for on the Baystar Sport. But we like Newmar products. They've got a very good reputation, and so that was our first stop. A little dealership out east of Oklahoma City. We went there, looked at that Baystar Sport, and the salesman was awesome. He took us out to the coach, kind of pointed out a few things, and then he just stepped outside. and waited for us to, kind of get the feel of the thing. Super good guy. I mean, he wanted to sell us a coach, and I mean that was clear, but he also wanted to give us our space and let us see if this was the coach we wanted. The only downside really to that coach, it was a grade below what we had been looking at. So you didn't have the roll-up blinds. You had the old pleated blinds. The odd thing was it didn't have an outside shower.
Yeah, our pop-up and our hybrid had pop-up.
Yeah,
We'd never seen a camper without an outside shower.
That one just really just... It was... We could have worked around it, but it was just still odd. That, so, a lot of the fixtures and appliances and stuff that they use in the sport was downgraded from what we were looking at, which is not a big deal. We've had a pop-up camper and a hybrid camper, plastic sinks, all that. It's not a big deal. Those plastic sinks lasted just as long as a steel one would have for us for as long as we owned it, which is about as long as we need them to last for as long as we own it. We don't care after you buy it. The salesman, awesome. Sales manager, very, very far from awesome. I had a trade-in. I understand you lose money if you trade in. You do better if you sell it on your own. Blah, 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 blah. I get it. Not the smartest move in the world, but I've never been accused of being smart, and I wasn't going to waste my time trying to sell that trailer.
Or the scary people that show up at your house sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the time is worth more than the money. That's just my outlook on life, which is probably why I'm still working for a living. But there is that. But the sales manager offered retail for the trailer. Okay, there's two things that tells me. One, he thinks I'm an idiot. And two, he ain't giving me nothing for that trailer. He's eating that in the price of the coach. He wouldn't back off the asking price. Again, the salesman was kind of out of the picture. He was sitting there and looking very uncomfortable with every other word that manager said. But he wouldn't come down off the asking price. And I told him, that's too much. He says, well, why do you say that? Because it's too much? I mean, what? And Terry whips out her phone and shows this guy a picture of a sticker on the exact same model RV at Dallas
equipped exactly the same
at the Dallas RV show, and they were wanting at the RV show $3,000 less than what they were asking for at the dealership.
And that was like the weekend before, 2 weekends before.
I think it was like right that weekend before that we had been down to the Dallas RV show. So he was asking too much. But
and you tried to tell us, well, that's because it was at an RV show.
Yeah, which if you don't understand how RV shows work, those dealerships have to pay a lot of money to go to those RV shows, not just in the booth space, but in insurance coverage to take those coaches or those trailers down to the show. And, then all the time spent there, that time is money. So, yeah, RV show prices, sometimes you can get a good deal, but more often than not, you're going to get the same deal at the show as you will at the dealership. I mentioned the Fleetwood Southwind that was on our list for that day. And he says, well, you can put lipstick on a pig, and You know, that was the one time in my life I wish my wife carried lipstick, because I probably would have reached into her purse, grabbed it, and handed it to him and said, "Show me."
Did you just call him a pig?
Yes, yes, I did. Just in case anybody missed it, I called him a pig. You know, I understand, and the salesman at that point was like, he understands the quality differences.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
The salesman said that.
Yeah, the salesman said that. The salesman was wanting that manager to leave.
And stop ruining his sale.
Yeah. and at one point, I stood up and I thanked the salesman for his time, ignored the sales manager, and we left. That sales manager cost the salesman the deal, period. Because we would have bought that RV. We would have driven that coach home, a week later when we could have got it. But we would have driven it home if it weren't for that sales manager. Because we weren't that far off of the price. So we went over to the dealership up on the north side of town to look at this Southwind that was sitting on their lot and had been sitting on their lot for over a year. We liked it.
It was way over equipped for us.
Oh
we
my
weren't
gosh.
interested in the TV above the cockpit. We weren't interested in the TV outside. We weren't interested in a big residential refrigerator or the fireplace.
Or the washer dryer combo.
Right.
All of it was more than what we were looking for,
And we weren't willing to pay for all that. I
Right.
mean, we just weren't
No,
interested.
we wouldn't have paid for that. But the coach had come down to a price where it was essentially the same as the Baystar Sport with way more amenities. It even has a shower outside.
Yeah, it does.
We loved it. We really did.
And that salesman was great too. He stepped outside also. He
Yeah.
said, "Spend as much time as you want to."
Oh my
in
gosh,
there."
yeah. We probably sat in the motorhome for 30 or 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Just checking things out, sitting down, seeing how it feels. Sitting on the couch, acting like we're watching TV. It just got a feel for it. We really liked it. So we went home without making an offer.
It's just what we do.
Yeah. Okay. we went home to think about it because it was one of the coaches we went to look at, but it wasn't the one that we were prepared to buy when we left the house.
And we needed to look those up too, see what else there was out there.
And quite honestly, if it had gotten down to that with the Sport, we would have done the same thing. We would have left to think about it. That's just, like she said, that's just what we do.
Now the Southwind had the exact floor plan we were wanting, so that was
the Southwind had the same plan as the Baystar 3401.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have the slide the driver's side slide is shorter on the Southwind, but it had the same layout. But we did. We went home and she got on the internet and started looking for 2016 Fleetwood Southwind 34A. And the only one that came up was in Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
New. Not used, new.
Then I started looking up 2016 anything just to see if there was something out there that we could get at a really good price, because we hadn't really thought about leftovers.
Right.
So.
And I believe it was that following Monday where we went back up there and made the offer. And along with the offer, everything we needed to tow the Subaru. The base plate, the all-terrain tow bar, and them installing it, and the brakes.
We were specific about what we wanted.
I was specific about what we wanted, and they gave me something different, something more expensive, but something different, which was good.
Yeah.
it was all the way up to that point. It was actually a pleasant environment to deal in. Once we made the offer, all that was left was the financing, and we did all that piece of it. I believe we had to put a couple of grand down immediately so that they could order the hitch stuff, the tow package stuff. But we left there, and I think it was that Wednesday or Thursday, that I got the call that we were approved, which, I mean, it really was never a doubt in our mind whether or not we would have been approved. And we were putting 20% down on the coach, which is, part of that process. When we were paying off Bill, we were saving up money to put down on the coach. Or the method behind our madness, because you don't necessarily have to put that much down if you've got decent credit. But the method behind our madness was, the more we put down, the less we have to worry about if something happens down the road and we have to sell this beast. We're not upside down. It's almost a year later at this point, and we're not upside down. I could actually sell this coach for almost what I paid for it. So, I mean, between the good deal we got on a leftover rig and the amount of money we put down, we're in decent shape. But that was the day we made the deal, and we started the financing process. And for those of you who have not been through the process, that's not the day you take the coach home. It's not like a car. It's, you don't go and you make the deal and then get the financing and drive it home that day. Ain't none of that. That'll be one of our upcoming videos about the pickup day, where the whole environment went downhill. It's kind of comical looking back on some of the stuff that happened. But anywho, 2016 Fleetwood Southwind 34A. That's what we ended up picking up, and we still love it.
Yep.
And if we had to do it again, we'd do it again.
Oh, we just went to a show last weekend, and I didn't see anything I would trade this in for.
Yeah. Now there's one down in Dallas here in a few weeks, so we
go see that. See if we can find something we'd want to trade it in for.
Yeah. Who knows? We ain't that well off. Anywho, see you all down the road.
Bye-bye.